Yo, yo, yo. What's good, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bane. Welcome to the Definition of Anarchy, where today, on April 27th, 2021, I am going to go over a video where Brian Logan doubled down on some of the silliest shit he's ever said since I've been, following this channel. The other day, I did a video where I talked about how one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life was somebody say, which was ABL, we don't need police reform, we need people reform. And, he did a video yesterday, put out a video yesterday, where he kind of doubles down on that and goes more in depth as to why we don't need police reform. But I'm going to play the video because I really need to address this ridiculous nonsense, okay? All right. I just have to. I could not sleep knowing that he said this shit, all right? All right, let's get into it.
To get 20% off your next order. How's everybody doing? My name is Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about police reform. This is a really hot button issue that's been all over the place. I'm talking about all over the internets, television, social media in general. It's everywhere. You got to reform the police. There's too many shootings, too many killings, too many this. We don't need police reform, okay? Now, I put a tweet on my Twitter page, and I'll place that on the screen before you. And it's doing pretty.
I'm going to read you what he says. What we need is family reform, unruly baby mama reform, crackhead daddy reform, gang banging 12-year-old reform. How about that? Well, you put that quite eloquently. But I'll say that, yes, some things need to change within impoverished communities, okay? Not just black community, impoverished communities. We definitely need to see some changes. But I'm wondering why you don't have meth head daddy down here. But that's just me. I would put meth head daddy too, just to keep it kind of balanced. But, it is what it is. Yeah, there needs to be some changes within impoverished communities. I'm not even going to say black communities because I'm tired of hearing about race from both sides when it's not applicable, right? Because people like ABL will sit up here and say, oh, you guys always make it about race. And as soon as somebody gets killed, it's about the race and all this other stuff. If it wasn't for the fact that the cop was white and the guy was black, it wouldn't be blah, 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 all this bullshit, right? But yet he steady uses race to prove his points. But let's move on from that because that's not what this is about right now, all right?
Well, among left, right, everybody, because people understand the sentiment behind it. Some may say it's a little bit harsh, you're doing too much. Well, the violence in these communities, we're talking about...
It's not just that he's doing too much, but it's this either or fallacy that he is implementing in his, in his assertion, right? It's not either or. You can have police reform and reform within a community. That's possible, right? Two things can happen at the same time. As a matter of fact, multiple issues can be solved at the same time. You just need to divide resources, divide the groups, task force, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to assign to it. Let's say you're part of a government or a representative body for the people. You can assign different groups to different tasks. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't just have to be about police reform or community reform or this or that or prison reform. All those things can be tackled. You see what I'm saying? So this it's about the either or fallacy. That's a bunch of bullshit, my friend.
Police aren't welcome for some reason. The violence that's happening there is harsh. You see, I'm not
Wait.
the one out there.
Wait a minute.
Right, everybody, because people
Wait a minute.
understand the sentiment behind it. Some may say it's a little bit harsh and you're doing too much. Well, the violence in these communities, we're talking about the police aren't welcome for some reason. The violence that's happening there is harsh. You see, I'm not the one.
Wait, where are the police not welcome? Because from my experience and from what I looked into, there are a lot of police officers in these impoverished neighborhoods. I mean, a shitload, patrolling, doing this, that, and the third. They're all over the place. I live near a hood, and there are always police vehicles all over the place. There are plenty of cops in these hoods, not welcomed. People aren't putting the cops out. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Chas Chop. See, and even with all these police officers, along with, all this gun control, right? This so-called gun control, which is actually control of the people, and all these other things, you still have crime skyrocketing and whatnot. You can throw more cops at it, but it's not going to change anything because the cops are reactionary. They are not proactionary, right? They're reactionary, and this is why it's important for people to have the right to keep and bear arms. But that's another issue. But let's keep going.
They're shooting little kids and whatnot over gang affiliation, gang retaliation. You know that story about the 7-year-old girl that got shot and killed at the McDonald's or whatever that was? I forget where this was, like as far as the city, Chicago, whatever.
So Jocelyn Adams, rest in peace to her soul. That should not have happened. And I tell you, I have as much ire for gang members that would shoot indiscriminately in an area and strike a child. Shoot indiscriminately, period, right? And I'll say this about gangs or anybody, that has beef with another person. If you don't have the balls to pick up your fist and duke it out, you a pussy. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say that about most gang members. You know what I'm saying? Most of them are pussy, right? Because they were never taught how to resolve their issues in a more productive manner, right? Oh, how is fighting productive? How is fighting with your fist productive? Well, because you are learning how to solve your problems in a way that, it's a little violent, and you'll take your anger out on that person, but that person can still live to see another day, and you can still live to see another day. Without a blade, without a gun, without a bat. People should be able to duke it out, and that's what one of the programs that I support right now, the Guns Down, Gloves Up movement, that so many people are involved in. That's why I get behind something like that, because it gives people another option than to just shoot people, right? And people don't understand the mind state of these kids in these inner cities. To them, they have no other options than the life they're living right now. No one cares to show them, and those who do care to show them, they don't get enough reach because they don't have the resources. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not excusing this behavior. I'm not saying that, they don't know what they're doing when they shot Jocelyn. No, they knew what they were doing. They knew how to pick up a gun and pull a trigger and start blasting at people without, hitting the target that you were actually shooting for. It's just about education. It's about showing these people another way, and hopefully, we can make headway so that something like that happened to Jocelyn Adams doesn't happen again. It's very unfortunate, and I hope the person or persons that did this to her gets. This is what I wish would happen. Let's say they find the killer of Jocelyn Adams, and they have to prove that he or she did it. Okay, so when we convict this person, he killed a little girl. Why is he still alive? As soon as he's convicted, give him a chance for an appeal. Boom. Okay, he go for an appeal. If he loses the appeal, and it's further proven that you did this, or you can't prove that you didn't do it, I don't see why we can't take you behind the courthouse and handle you right then and there. Why are we housing these people? Anyway, spending our money house, I don't get it. But that's another story altogether. Again, but I had to address the Jackson Adams thing because he's right. Like these things are happening in these neighborhoods, in these impoverished neighborhoods where you have this gang activity. But it's not just in black neighborhoods; it's also in white neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, where you have impoverished communities with criminals. This is what criminals do. Criminals are not assigned exclusively to black folks or people of color. You understand what I'm saying? So let's keep moving on. Oh, and here's the point. If whoever shot Jackson Adams gets caught, guess what happens? They go to jail. They suffer the consequences for their actions. There's no question about it. There's nothing protecting them from that, right? They don't get the benefit. You know what I'm saying? They don't get like, oh well, you served your station with honor and all this bullshit. No, ain't none of that cracking. All right. He needs to suffer the consequences. Go ahead. Let's go.
But the little girl that was killed there, allegedly her father had peed on the grave of one of his gang rivals, like a week before that whole thing happened. So maybe
Ridiculous.
The target was him, but he got her by mistake. And the guy has been locked up for that, and I'll place information about that particular incident in the description box below. But that's the actual problem. Stuff like that. Little kids getting killed for no reason. I covered Sequoia Turner, 8-year-old little girl, getting killed by Black Lives Matter so-called protesters out there in Atlanta. A lot of things like that happen. I mean, there's child after child after child.
That's the actual problem? No, that's one of the actual problems. Okay? Police terrorism is also a problem. You understand what I'm saying? It's not one problem that needs to be solved. There are multiple issues in this country that find us in this position. We are in this position because there are multiple problems with this country that need to be resolved, that need to be addressed. Even just address it, acknowledge it. People like him can't even acknowledge the police terrorism or police brutality. It doesn't exist in him. But there are thousands of instances where the police have done too much, right? Going beyond their duty to just brutalize and terrorize people. This happens. You know what I'm saying? Like it's utterly ridiculous. And when you have a good cop, let's talk about this. There was a woman, a female cop, a black female cop, stopped another cop from brutalizing a person, and she got fired, lost her pension, right? And this dude got promoted. But then it turns out later on he got fired for police brutality, and she was able to get her pension back. But that's just an example of police brutality existing when they say it does not. It actually does. And if you say it's not an issue, then you're just giving the cops a carte blanche to do whatever they want. As long as you continue to spew this retarded and stunted messaging that we don't need police reform, we need cop reform, people reform. This dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. It's going to continue. You're going to continue to have these issues because people like you can't even acknowledge that it's an issue. Can't even acknowledge that. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? And that's what this video is about. The fact that he can't even acknowledge it, right? I can see if he said, well, police brutality is not as much of a problem for the black community. It's not as much of a problem for the black community as black on black crime, right? And I would agree to an extent. You know what I'm saying? I might even agree fully with that. But he can't even do that. He's saying it's all the black community. It's all the community. It had nothing to do with the cops. The cops don't do shit to people. They just, if you didn't have a knife, if you didn't have a gun, if you didn't resist, if you didn't do this, if you didn't do that, the cops wouldn't do nothing to you. They're just put you on your jolly way and all this other shit. No, it's nonsense, and we know this for a fact. He knows it. Come on, let's be real about this. Let's be real.
After child, that's getting gunned down all the time. All right, that's the actual issue. Violence over nothing. People talking about, oh, it's because of poverty. No, it's not because of poverty. All right. People that are in poverty in the U.S. aren't necessarily really in true poverty all the time. Okay. If you got these 600-pound life contestants, and if you happen to be obese, nothing against you. I'm not trying to, I'm just saying, if we are truly in.
Wait. Is he that dense? 600-pound life? Okay. Let's talk about that. Okay. He's saying people in poverty aren't really in poverty. I beg to differ. They are actually in poverty compared to, based on the way of life in the United States. For someone in the United States, they are a person in poverty, right? But let's talk about this 600-pound person thing. There are many variables involved. You see, he's going to just give you a dumbed down version of reality, right? Yes, there are poor people that are overweight. There's a reason for that. You understand what I'm saying? There is a reason for that. But not all poor people are overweight. Some poor people are skinny. Some poor people are muscular, right? Have you ever seen I've seen plenty of homeless people that are muscular, cut up, and all this other shit. You know why? Because they're moving around. They do get to eat food, right? When they're given food, they might get scraps or they might get change to go buy some food. But they moving around. They're doing all this other stuff, and they got lean. A lot of them are lean. You know what I'm saying? I've seen homeless people that are fucking fat as fuck. I've seen homeless people that are skin and bone. So homeless. So they're not actually impoverished because they're overweight. Come on, man. Come on. Oh my God. He cannot be that idiotic. He cannot be that. You know what? He's worse than stupid. He's intellectually dishonest. He knows better than that. He knows better, but he's going to present it to you in a certain way because he feels like you don't know better and you just gonna go along with what he says. You know why? Because a lot of his followers worship him, right? Let's move on with that. And also, a lot of it is genetics, right? A lot of it is genetics. Some people are overweight. Some people can be overweight with not as much food as you would and be skin and bone. It's genetics, right? And let's also talk about the type of food that impoverished people have access to. They got food stamps, right? You ever heard of that? Impoverished people get on food stamps so that they can get food. Guess you didn't know that? They can go get food because they're on food stamps. Food, you eat food. Food turns into calories. And if you have a surplus of calories, because perhaps you aren't concerned too much about exercising because you're poor and you're trying to figure out how to get your next meal or how to pay a bill or whatever, or you're on welfare, so you're not really concerned about where you're going to get your next meal because the government's taking care of you. And so you sitting on your ass and you lazy, right? Guess what? You in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight. You get bigger. You understand? Impoverished people eat. Impoverished is not synonymous with starvation. That's not a prerequisite for being in poverty. It's to be starving. That's not what that is. Intellectually dishonest or a complete dumbass. Which one is he? That's called a real either or situation. Either he's intellectually dishonest or he's an idiot. Well, actually, the third option, he's ignorant. But I doubt he's ignorant. I doubt it. But let's move on, man. That was another dumbass statement.
poverty, then how do you have these people that so-called live in poverty that are 1,000 pounds? How are you the size of a baby grand, but yet you're in poverty?
Look, I know that he's trying to be funny here, but 1,000 pounds. First, it was 500 pounds. Now it's 1,000 pounds. Okay.
Because you're not truly in poverty in the world sense. When you zoom out and look at the entire planet, aside from the US of A, poverty is a much different thing than what we think of it right here in the States. Poverty does not make you fat the same way it does not make you go out there and commit crime against your neighbor, against little kids. I mean, think about it like this.
Poverty does not make you fat, but it also doesn't necessarily make you skinny. Poverty is not relegated to just how much food you have access to. Do you understand? It's quality of life, right? And if you live in an impoverished area, is what retail do you have access to? What type of food do you have access to? Quality of life, parks, this, that, and the third. How much money goes into your community, right? To improve. How much money goes into the schooling, right? How much money do you make relative to the cost of living? If you're struggling to make a paycheck, I mean, not struggling to make a paycheck. If you're struggling to make your paycheck stretch far enough for you to cover all your expenses, and you live in paycheck to paycheck, that's poverty. You're poor. You're poor, period. And again, you have welfare. So that's probably why you see some overweight poor people, ABL, because they have welfare. You ever heard of that? You know, the shit that y'all say is a crutch for black people. Maybe you forgot about that. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Fucking.
What poverty, what level of income would make someone kill a little baby, like a toddler or infant, or like a third grader or something like that? What level?
Who said that poverty turns on a switch and makes you kill people? Who said that? Who said that just because you're poor, you're going to go out? Who said that? Look, it's a fact that high levels of crime occur in the, he doesn't like the word poverty. Okay, so let's say there's a medium, right? Where, below the medium, the average wages or whatever, average salary or average yearly income, there's a medium. You're below that. If you're below that, then you're likely to have more crime in the area that you live in. If you live in an area that's below the medium wage or whatever you call that, I forgot what it's called, how they put that. But if you live under the poverty line, right? There's a poverty line, and it's very mathematical how they came up with this poverty line, right? They use statistics, they use surveys, they base it on the cost of living, how much things cost versus how much you make in those areas. If you live below the poverty line, in those communities that are below the poverty line are the ones with the highest crime. Not because they're impoverished, not alone, but because there are a lot of factors involved. Again, it has a lot to do with access, education. It has a lot to do with the involvement of the representatives. Are you represented properly? Are there programs to help you get out of that? And if there are programs, how well funded are these programs? How well sourced are these programs? You know what I'm saying? How many people are out there? How much what do they call that? When you go out in the community, you help, right? I can't think of it right now. I'm getting old. But anyway, how much of that is going on? It has nothing. It's not just about poor automatically. No one says that. You see, this is the dumb shit I'm talking about. You know what? It gets on my nerves because I know he knows better than this. I know he knows better than that. To think that people are actually. No, I haven't heard anybody say, "Well, Pookie killed Ray Ray because he's poor." No, there's something going on there. There's some background, right? Pookie killed Ray Ray because Ray Ray probably slept with his girlfriend, or stole something from him, something like that. And why did he steal? Well, because he's not earning the wages to go buy the things he wants. And so he stole it from somebody because he's poor and he can't just afford to go buy something. There's always something leads up to something. Nothing's automatic. It doesn't happen by osmosis. But then again, there are rich people that steal, right? There are bankers that steal. There are Wall Street bankers that steal. Anyway, that's another story too. But they don't want to get into that and how much violence derives from the crimes of the Wall Street bankers. That's another story. And the government.
The poverty would cause that to happen. Okay, the issue of poverty is not the answer. Neither are the police. And once you go to the community, once you go to the quote unquote hood, the black community, or if you got Hispanics or whites, people that are in these really dangerous areas know that the police are the last line of hope. The only ones that don't want the police are those that don't live in these communities, that don't understand what's happening in these communities, or those that are engaging in the crime.
No, they think the police are the last line of hope. Let me tell you, because they have done some surveys and they said that black people in these communities want to have the local police around. Understandably so. There's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of gang violence and all this other shit. But there's one thing missing here. There's one element that they're not thinking about. These people that live in these communities. What if they had the power to pick up a firearm and get training and learn how to use that firearm to defend themselves? They'd have a little bit more confidence in themselves and more self-reliance. They'll be more self-confident. They'll be more self-sufficient. If you empower people, that's the option. It's not either we have police or we're unsafe. No. You can empower your community to take care of themselves, right? Community policing, right? Community policing. You get as many able-bodied people in the community as possible, men and women, and you go in there and you train them how to use firearms, you train them how to perform hand-to-hand combat, you train them how to be tactical, you train them how to use strategies to maybe, let's say, get rid of a gang member, right? Look, you can go undercut. There's a lot of things that you can do. Empower yourself, empower the people, and it can happen. And not only that, no one necessarily is saying we don't want police at all or policing period. No, the way that it is right now, we don't want that, right? Anybody with a brain, anybody that has done some research and has done their due diligence can understand that there are plenty of cities in the United States where neighborhoods and cities where they use private police forces. Private police forces are paid for directly by the people. I mean, we pay for municipal cop salaries, but it goes through all these intermediaries and this red tape, and it funnels through the government, and the government oversees the police. Whereas in these other communities where they have private policing, the people themselves oversee the police. So there's a little bit more incentive for the private police to do the right thing by the people within their community. They'll be more vigilant, and they'll actually pay attention to who might be committing the crimes. They won't harass people because they want to keep their job, and they know they can be replaced much more easily than a municipal police officer. Anyway, that's just a thought. You know what I'm saying? It's not either you have the cops or you perish. Like, come on, man.
Violent. Sure, the gangbangers like, yo, defund the police. Get the police out of here, because they want to have free reign to roam. They want to go out there, stick up liquor stores, rob gun stores, home invasion, kidnapping.
Wait a minute. They want to go do that, or they are doing it? Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Did gangbangers stop doing that? Holy shit. No, they didn't stop doing that. They're still doing it. With all the cops on the street as of this day, as of right now, gangbangers are still doing that. Gangbangers are robbing, they're stealing, they're kidnapping, they're murdering, they're robbing. Well, are they not? Cops are around, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, are cops responding as quickly as they should in these areas? Or are they waiting for the dust to settle to go pick up a body? What are they doing? I think it's the latter. As a matter of fact, I know it is, because guess what? I grew up in areas like that. Good luck. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened to me. I called the police when somebody stole my car. I woke up one day, my car was out in my driveway. All right? Car was not in my driveway. So I called the police because when you file an insurance claim, they want to see a police report when your car is stolen. I called the police. I said, hey, somebody stole my car. Can y'all come over here and do your little investigation or whatnot? No, we're not going to do that. You got to come to the station. You got to come to us and fill out a report. Them motherfuckers didn't. Them motherfuckers wouldn't even come to the house. They would not come to my house to assess the scene of the crime, right? I had to go to them. Now, granted, it's a stolen car. I wasn't carjacked. There was no violence involved. But come on, man. That's how much these cops care about you, right? Your car gets stolen, you got to go to them to fill out a report. I mean, that's just an example, right? I mean, somebody, as a matter of fact, in that same neighborhood, when I was living in the same house, it was a lot of gangs over there, right? A lot of 60s and A-Tray and all these people, like in the border of that, and all. It's just a lot of crazy shit. And somebody got killed in front of my house. I was up. I was on the computer writing my book, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. Bang, bang, bang. Right in front of the house. Okay, somebody called the police. I didn't call the police. I'm like, oh shit, they popping shit out here. I just grabbed my whistle I grabbed my whistle, and I was like, okay, let's see how far this goes. Had my family, I ran through the drills and all that stuff, and the family did what they were supposed to do. And somebody called the police. They didn't show up for an hour or two. Anyway, those are a couple examples.
Their drugs or whatever, they want to do whatever they want to do without the interference from the police with the regular.
They are doing what they want to do. They are doing what they want to do. They're doing what they want to do with or without the cops. That's what criminals do. That's why they're criminals. That's why they're psychopaths. That's why they're sociopaths. They don't give a hot fuck about the police because they know how the police operate. They've been dealing with the police for decades. And the knowledge of this has been passed down from generation to generation of gang members. They know police are slow to respond in those areas. They know that 9 times out of 10, they're going to get away with what they want to get away with because no one's going to snitch, or they're not going to get caught fast enough because the police aren't showing up fast enough. And when they do show up fast enough, shit gets handled, right? But the police are not a deterrent for crime, not from criminals. It might deter someone who's not like a career criminal, like somebody who might decide to do something. I need to do this, and it's a crime. Somebody like that might be a little bit nervous, and they might be a little bit hesitant because they're thinking about the consequences of their actions, but not necessarily getting caught during the act, but getting caught after the act and having to go through court and all this other stuff and going to jail. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking, oh, if I do this right now, a cop is going to materialize, or a cop is going to happen by just as I'm doing it and know that I'm doing something bad. No, that's not how it works. They're not deterrents. All right. They might slow down a crime. They might postpone a crime, right? Let's say somebody wants to rob a liquor store. You've been casing the joint for a little bit. You think you know the patrol shits, and you decide to do it patrol routes because you've been peeping the cops and how they roll. And then one night you decide, okay, this is gonna be the night. Boom, you go out to do it, and then somehow there's a new cop, or there's a cop taking over for a guy and covering for a guy, and he does a route differently. He shows up at a different time than you figured. Okay, you're like, okay, they on some different shit today. I'm gonna wait. Okay, the cop rolled by. As soon as he go by, boom, boom, boom. even though he came at a different time, he's not going to come back around here for maybe another 20, 30 minutes. Boom. I can handle it right after he leaves. And if the silent alarm goes off, the cops come, I'll be long gone. 9 times out of 10. You ever see those, watch the videos with all the robberies in the liquor stores and convenience stores. The guy, they go in there, they're holding the guy up, they're holding the cashier up, boom, they get the money, or they kill, or whatever they do. And they rolling out of there. And most of the times, they don't get caught at the time. Right? They're like, oh, if you see this person and they blow up on their face, give us information and blah, blah, blah. 9 times out of 10, they're not caught during the act. Criminals know this because they're criminals. Come on. Police don't deter shit. Not on a large enough scale to say that police officers are deterrents.
Normies that are out there, people like you and me that are watching this video, people like us don't want to live in a place like this. We don't want to live in an environment where the criminals are running the shots. Because one thing about it, in every society, in every community, there's going to be authority, yes? And it's got to be somebody. Now, you're going to have authority in your home, of course. That's really where I'll talk about that in a minute. That's really where it starts. You're going to have authority in your home, but what about outside your home? Okay, how about the streets? Who's going to have authority in the streets? Is it going to be the police? Is it going to be the dope boys, the guys that are just running around?
Let them finish.
With guns, do whatever they want to do, engaging in lawless criminal behavior. When we're talking about defund the police, understand that you're going to have to replace the police with something. You can't.
Okay. Who's going to be the authority? Let me ask you guys. Who do you want to be the authority in your life? Who do you want to rule your life? I can tell you who I want to rule my life and who my authority is, my legitimate authority. Who has a legitimate authority over me? I do. And so that's why I train. That's why I train in many ways. I train in hand-to-hand combat. And if I didn't lose all my firearms in a boating accident, I would train with those. But, I do borrow friends' firearms from time to time and handle that business. That's why I do what I do. I'm not sitting up here like, oh man, let's say somebody run up over here with a freaking gun right now. There's no cop to be seen. What am I going to do? Authority, somebody's running up on me with a gun. Authority, save my life. Is that what I'm doing? Am I calling for the authorities? If my house was burglarized, somebody ran up in my house and tried to rob me, and I didn't lose all my shit in a boating accident, or I got the drop on them and handle them with my hand-to-hand combat, I'm not going to call them. I'm not calling the police first. I'm not. I might have my wife do it. I might have her, in her strategic position where she got, and I'll go check the scene out. You know what I'm saying? Because I know my house, I know how things roll. And I go over what we drilled or our scenarios, and then boom, But I'm going to handle the business before the police show up. That's just the reality of it. I'm not asking, oh, authority, please save me, authority. No, authorities don't do shit. Authorities don't save lives. You know who save lives? EMTs, firefighters, nurses and doctors, good Samaritans. Cops might save a life after, somebody gets shot or they shoot somebody. They might try to do some rescue breaths and all this other stuff. Sure. But who is preventing the actual action that got you in the position for you to need that life-saving action? That life-saving, what they call that? Life-saving, when you do shit. Life-saving activity. Man, I'm out of, my vocab is low today. But maybe it's because I'm listening to him. I don't know. But anyway, so I don't look for authority to save my life. And that's the misconception. These people who believe that they need the police in their neighborhoods, they don't understand that. They don't understand. They don't understand that. Well, they should. They should understand. They live in the dead center of these neighborhoods. They should understand that while the police might be a postponement of a crime, they might postpone a crime or deter crime temporarily. They ultimately do not prevent crimes. You understand what I'm saying? They don't prevent them. They should understand that. They just want the police around because it's a presence. They feel like they're safe if they see if they're driving down the road and they see a police car right there. Some people, but yeah. Shawty.
Just say, all right, we're going to defund it and have that be that. You got to replace it. And what you're going to end up with is a vacuum. And you're going to have the game bankers or whatnot come in there to...
I agree. You can't just abolish or defund the police just like that, right? Like, you can't just snap your finger in there and make them go away and think that it's not going to create an issue, right? Because look what happened. Look what's going on in the Middle East, right? The Middle East, they took out all these dictators, right? The so-called dictators. They took out Saddam Hussein. They took out Osama bin Laden. They took out what's his name? Muammar Gaddafi. And all these other people, all these other so-called dictators, which are actually leaders of their countries, you know, with lies of weapons of mass destruction, just a lot of bullshit, you know what I'm saying, to take over poppy fields and oil fields. And to prevent, you know, the gold dinar from being the standard in Africa, which would destroy the U.S. dollar. But that's a whole nother story. What happened when they wiped those people out and they wiped out their forces? There was a power vacuum. Yes. You're right, ABL, and the United States knows all too well about that. No, you don't do it like that. You perform. It's a transition. What I would suggest is you turn that department into a private. You make it. You go from you take it off of the public tit, and you make it private. And any officer that wants to stick around, they can stick around. If you don't want to stick around and actually be of service to your community, peace. And we'll deal with the people that do want to. And also, this private police force can hire people within the community that actually look like the people in the community to be a part of the force. And they can train up other people in the community to be self-sufficient. Just because, okay, we go to a private police force, that doesn't mean we keep the gun control laws. No, we got to get rid of that too. So that everybody can be equipped to defend themselves. From the very old lady up the street to the 12-year-old boy who has demonstrated that he is proficient and safe with that firearm. You empower the community, and if you want to keep the police there, they have to answer to the people and be held accountable. There has to be incentive for them to do good work, and there has to be consequences for them fucking up, just like with everyone else in life. And we shouldn't have to march through the streets and riot and burn shit down for police to be held accountable. That's the major issue here. Let's keep going. I'm almost done with this dude, man. I can't go through too much.
Take their place. All right. If you want to fix the problems that are happening in these areas, people get killed by the police, you gotta start with the family first and foremost. You got these baby mamas, you know, no dads on drugs, moms on drugs. Really what's going on a lot of times, because I don't know if many of you know, but I come from these areas. I come from the quote unquote hood.
Right.
Okay. I lived in all black, low income areas until I got to be really an adult. And really, I've been living in those kind of areas my whole life up until like 2 years ago. Okay. I'm from Virginia originally. That's where I grew up, born in West Virginia, raised in Virginia. Everywhere I lived was 80, 90 to 100% black.
You want a cookie?
Okay. Even when I got to be an adult, I'm still in an area that's like 70, 80% black. So, you know, I understand what's going on in these areas. I know it very well because I've experienced it. I've studied it. I know it. A lot of these big brain geniuses are going to come up with rules talking about defunding police and systemic racism. They may read things in the book, but they don't have any experience to really be able to understand what's happening in the book.
That's a goddamn lie.
Example would be if you are an airplane pilot and you have 10,000 hours.
All right, I'm done.
The books and everything to train you about how to fly an airplane and
I'm done.
Safety
enough false analogies. So look, there are many people. See, he likes to keep, like, things are a lot more nuanced than he likes to present them to be, right? I mean, not everyone who wants to defund the police know nothing about being in impoverished neighborhoods. There are plenty, like my mother, like people that I know are working within the community to stop the gang violence, to stop this, stop that. They feel like that the police are aggravating the issue. They're not really helping the issue, right? And it distracts from the work that they're doing because there's always focus when cops fuck up. There's always focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if something was actually done to change the culture of policing in this country, then the focus could start going to where it needs to go. I'm talking about on a broader scale. I'm talking about with the mainstream media. Like, there's already a lot of attention and work going into these communities. It's already happening. They're already working on programs to get people in skilled trades and to show them a different way, and financial literacy. There's a lot going on. They just don't get the attention. They don't get the attention. They don't get, like, their work isn't shown like it should be. Even King Randall. We heard about King Randall. He was on what's his name? He was on Brandon Tatum's show. He was on Roland Martin's show. And, after that, like, I mean, we know what he's doing, but what he's doing should be celebrated. It should be like, I mean, there should be people going to his school, checking his school out, giving, like, he should get all the attention and all the help and all the funding in the world if he's doing the right thing by these boys that he's taking in. You know what I'm saying? And just like people in other communities that are doing the work, they need that attention. They need that funding. They need that help. They need resources. Anyway, excuse me. That's all I got for now, guys. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I know it went a little longer than I thought, and I only got about 6 or 7 minutes into his video, but there's just a lot there to dismantle and destroy. So, I mean, that's where I'm coming from. Y'all let me know what y'all think. You guys agree with him that no, it's not the police at all. There's no need for police reform, period. It's all about the baby mama and the crack daddy and all this other shit. Or do you think that it's more nuanced, that there are a lot of issues involved, there are a lot of things that need to change from many different angles, including and especially with the police department? Or do you think, everything's fine the way it is, everything is being overblown by the media? You know what I mean? Y'all let me know what y'all think. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I have all the answers, or there are only two answers to a question and all that shit. No, there's multiple answers that could be there. There's multiple things. There's multiple answers to many questions. It's not just one or another. Like, there are many different things that could happen from many different facets and many different, like, divergent paths. So anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Peace out. I know I said let me know what y'all think like 3, 4, 5 times, but let me know what y'all think about me saying let me know what y'all think, and tell me what y'all think about me not knowing words today, and holla at y'all later. Peace.